So just bear with me. The internet is not as fast as me. Which is true. I mean, no, I'm kidding, but it's true. Um, Hopefully this will work out. Oh, check that out. So here we are. Um, let's see. Oh, wow. What's going on, Victor? Hold on, you still. Oh, there you
How's it
are.
going, man?
It's going really well. Welcome. Welcome to George's Space Chat.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for being here today. This means the world to me. This is awesome. I'm so glad that we were able to pull this one off. This is
Me
really
too.
awesome.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I couldn't get here earlier. But
No, please. Are you kidding? I was blabbering on for 30 minutes and people were forced to listen to me. So it was great.
all right.
But anyway, listen, I hope this finds you well. I hope you everything is well. I hope the family is well. Bear with me for a second. I need to. I'm working on several screens here, and I just want to keep an eye on the comments, um, in case people have questions for you or for me. So
Where
cool.
are we? Where are we right now? We Facebook? We
We are
Zoom?
on Facebook. Yeah, we are on
Okay.
Facebook. So what I do here is I send out the Zoom invitation, and then I broadcast it live onto Facebook, onto the space chat that I started. Um,
Nice.
and we have people watching us, and
Okay.
this, of course, needless to say, the likes went through the roof once you came on. But anyway, here we are. Maybe let's get into it. And here's something that I thought would be interesting. I usually do, I ask my guests to provide a list of 10 songs that were inspirational for them, and then I put them up into a playlist, right? I didn't do that with you because I thought it would be interesting to get your rapid fire reaction. So
Yeah.
let's go 10 songs, whatever comes to your mind. What comes to your mind first? 10 songs, artists, whatever you want to think of, that inspired you, influenced you. I got my pen and paper ready. I'll take
Yeah.
notes.
Um, James Brown is one of the first things that comes to mind. I just got to figure out what song. I could figure out 10 songs just from James Brown.
Okay.
But wow, maybe Sex Machine.
Okay.
But there's so many other ones with. I mean, if you really, a lot of people know that song, but I don't know how many people have really listened to what Bootsy's playing
Yeah, you make a good point there.
on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's really deep.
Amazing,
Yeah.
and not just Bootsy, but the
The
whole band.
entire, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll try to stick with only one. No, I got to go with another
It,
James Brown.
it's totally up to you. Whatever
Yeah.
comes to your mind. Seriously.
There's a ton of James Brown, and this one not for the bass part, but say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Okay.
If you just imagine what was going on in America at
Mm.
that time, that song came out.
Right. Right.
And, nowadays, a lot of people just think of James Brown as this crazy old man who, whatever, whatever. But we got to go back to the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And most people don't know. And sad to say, the real story will probably never get told
Right.
about what James Brown's real mission was, how he really wanted to help his people. Not just wanted to, but did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
James
This.
Brown would do things like if he was playing in a town, he might rent out the whole theater because
Yeah.
he had a ton of money. He had an
Yeah.
airplane, radio station.
Yeah.
He'd rent out the whole theater and then hire black people
Yeah.
to give him a job for the night,
Yeah.
just to work the concert,
Yeah.
right? When Dr. Martin Luther King got assassinated, President Johnson called James Brown
Yeah.
to help prevent a riot in Boston.
Right.
Powerful man,
Yeah. Very powerful.
but in many kind of in many times it seems like the press or a part of society will do its best to not let the real important part of that story come out.
Come out. Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to think about what, and I'm not here to talk about black versus white or whatever, I do know we all need to work together and love each other.
Right.
But if you think about what it took for people of color, especially women of color
Mm.
and any color,
Yeah.
to do anything successful against all odds,
Mm.
right? It would
Yeah.
make you crazy.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would make
Yeah.
you crazy.
For sure.
It
For
would
sure.
make you crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
no, I get it. I totally get it. I let me just add to what you just said, because this is I found this during the pandemic. Questlove Supreme's podcast, the episode where he interviews the Reverend, I'm spacing on his name now, gentleman from here, from New York. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm spacing on his name. Al Sharpton.
Sharpton, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
where he
uh-huh.
interviews Al Sharpton,
Mhm.
because Al Sharpton and James Brown were tight
Yes, yeah,
throughout their, like, throughout. Al Sharpton was a young child, boy, teenager, whatever, when he met James Brown. They
hmm
were tight throughout their entire lives together. Check that interview out. It's
yeah,
such an eye opener. It's really deep. But
yeah.
please continue. I
So
just wanted to
anyway,
add that. Yeah.
right, right. So James to me was just a powerful man,
Right.
and against all odds, was able to become very, very successful.
Right.
And just to say one more thing about James, when James Brown stopped that riot
Yeah.
in Boston, James Brown said that he was on the U.S.'s list as one of the top 10 most dangerous people in the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
That's
because he had done something wrong, but because he had done something right.
exactly.
Because they said if this man can stop a riot,
It's a lot of power. Yeah.
he can start one.
Oh wow. Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
So
I totally get that. I
yeah, he said
totally
his
get that.
phones were tapped, followed around. So anyway, that's what it takes for some people to do something right. You got
Right.
to go through all that.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
so
yeah.
why wouldn't you go crazy having to deal through that just to live?
Yeah.
Anyway, throughout it all, James Brown released a ton of great music
Yeah.
against all odds. I was lucky enough to be born and listening to music and aware of music at that age. I got to
Mm.
see James Brown when I was in kindergarten and in the first grade,
Well,
1970 and 71. And the best performer I have ever seen. I
yeah.
love Michael Jackson. I love Prince. I love Mick Jagger. Never seen anyone perform like James Brown.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. That's yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, 70, 71, I was not a thought in my parents' mind.
Yeah, yeah,
I wasn't there yet. So
right.
I totally hear you though. I totally hear you. That's
Yeah,
all right, let's continue. We got two James Brown. We could have like 10 James Brown. That's an
absolutely.
important point to make.
Easily,
Yeah.
easily. So I like music as a whole, but I'm going to try to think of some things that really made me the musician and the bass player that I am.
Right.
So I'm going to go next to Donny Hathaway Live.
Mm-hmm.
Any bass player needs to know this record.
Yeah.
It's a live Donny Hathaway record. The last song on that record is called Everything is Everything.
Willie
And
Weeks
there's a
solo.
live bass solo
Yeah.
with Willie Weeks.
Yeah.
That, of course, changed my life.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, thanks
And
to my aunt, my mom's sister,
mm.
turned us on to that when we were very young.
Let's dig into that just a little deeper. Change
Mhm.
your life. How?
It was one of the first times I heard the bass spotlighted like that.
Wow. Okay.
And really, all you have to do is listen to it, and you'll realize how it changes you.
Yeah.
Changed my life. If you want to learn how to put a bass solo together, how to build it. Right now, most of us bass solos, we know we may not ever get another solo for a couple years. So we got to get it all out there,
Right. Right.
do all your, favorite Victor Wooten licks and Stanley, Marcus, Jocko, all in the same solo.
Yep.
Willie Weeks builds this solo,
Right.
right? And if you really want to pay attention, his solo is built off the groove he'd been playing the whole song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like he left the song and started soloing.
Right.
The
Right.
whole audience is still grooving to his solo,
Right.
right? Many of us solo in a way that makes the audience stop grooving and start listening,
Oh wow. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're not there just to listen.
Yeah.
They want to feel with their whole body.
Right.
But when we start getting too fancy, we start only hearing it with our ears,
Right.
and then we lose them.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. By the time the bass player gets a solo, everybody else is already soloed.
Right.
What's going to make them want to listen to another? Your groove will make them do it.
Oh yeah.
And Willie Weeks does it perfectly, and his solo just builds and builds and builds, and he does it in such the perfect way. It should be a model in every classroom on how to play and build a bass solo.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now I totally get that. I think that there is a lot to be said for the build that he puts in it, right? And I want to bring this up right now, because otherwise I'll forget. But it puts the whole discussion of virtuoso versus support player. It it shows how ridiculous that discussion really is at
Yeah,
the end of the day, right? As if we had a choice.
yeah.
Like you have to be both. At least that's. I mean, I'm putting my thing now on this, of course, but um, you it puts that discussion to an end right
Mm-hmm.
there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe we'll get into that. What your thoughts are, because I thought that that would be very very interesting. You know where you're coming from with that thing, because with that thought, right? But let's continue on with the songs right now.
Okay. Sly and the Family Stone.
Ooh, okay.
Now, Sly is, in my opinion, a lot like James Brown,
Right.
um, where he was writing songs to help raise the consciousness of
Mm,
people.
right.
Right? Everybody is a
Hmm.
star.
Right.
Right? You know, these lyrics, Earth, Wind, and Fire is the same way. So we're going to get there too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? You got to think of their lyric. You know, you're a shining star no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Lift your head
everyday
to the sky.
people,
Right?
everyday
Everyday
people.
people
Yeah.
slide the stone. Right. Right. So they're making us feel good about ourselves when the
Right.
rest of the country is not really helping with that.
Right.
So, I mean, not the whole country, but the rest of the country is not. Some of it, you know, a lot of people are,
Right.
but they're writing songs and making them hits. And a lot of times, sometimes the song is so good you don't even pay attention to what you're singing.
Right. Right.
But you know, like Earth, Wind, and Fire, keep your head to the sky, you're a shining
Mhm.
star.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, doom, 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 doom. Verdine. So you can go ahead and put that one down because that's a bad
Verdine
bass line.
is such a bad
Shining star,
dude. Oh man.
shining star. He's bad, man.
Any particular Sly and the Family Stone
Yeah. Oh yeah.
song?
Oh yeah. We're gonna go back. Yeah.
Shining Star. Hold on, let me just
hmm
put that down.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you just two. Two. I'm gonna be polite and just do two.
I mean, you can.
Slide
Here's the
tunes.
thing: you can break the confines of all of this. Okay,
Yeah.
if you have 15 songs, we'll put down 15 songs in the playlist. It doesn't matter. There are no
Yeah.
secrets here. There certainly
Right.
aren't rules. You know what I mean? It is interesting to limit yourself to a certain number because you really have to kind of think about it in a different way.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, if you know, I'm not here to put bookends on this.
All right. Cool. Cool.
So, so
It's
Sly and the
hard,
Family
man.
Stone.
Yeah. Put down everyday people.
Okay.
Okay. And I love this, and I still talk about this song a lot today because you know, in the world of bass now, it seems like it's about how much can you play,
Mm,
right?
right.
And the real genius is in how little can you play
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
still make people groove. And in
Yeah.
that song, Everyday People, Larry Graham played one note,
One note.
one note.
Yeah.
But then also people think of Sly and the Family Stone, they think of Larry Graham. They forget about Rusty Allen.
Oh, check that out. Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure.
Until you play, if you want me to stay, I'll be around. Doom, 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 doom,
Oh
doom, doom.
yeah.
That's Rusty Allen,
I'll check that out.
right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then
Now
if
this
you really want to research, go find the songs that Sly actually played
played
bass on,
bass on. Oh.
right? I think it's the song In Time.
Mm.
In Time. I think that's, I'm not sure, but I think that's Sly on bass.
Yeah.
Sly plays some of that stuff. But let's just go with those two.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
If you want me to stay, and Everyday People.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, we got Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shining Star.
Sure.
Obviously, like deep song,
Yeah.
and let me just state that again. Verdin is such a bad dude. It is
Absolute.
ridiculous. It is ridiculous how bad
Yeah.
that dude really is.
Yes.
And what's also interesting about this, and I'm not here to bogart your list at all, but
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be pointed out that Verdine White, the White brothers,
Yes.
Maurice and Freddie White, right, were friends with Donny Hathaway from way back in Chicago.
Right.
They all knew each other, right? That
Yeah.
is there are a lot of similarities there. There's a lot of um, like-mindedness. Let me put it
Mm-hmm.
this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that needs to be pointed out because the drummer for live at Donny Hathaway's live is Freddie White,
Right. Right. Nice.
and that's a big deal.
Yes.
There's just no two ways about that.
So since you guys, I see some pops rising over your right shoulder there
Oh,
on the counter.
everybody
So
everybody sees that. I'm trying to.
that red is stepping out
Yeah,
on that black.
I
So,
know.
but that's good though, because that's gonna make me go with Pop Staples
Okay.
with the Staple Sisters, and I'll take you
Mm,
there.
okay.
Okay. Doom, doom,
Yeah.
dooba doom, dooba doom, boom, doom, doom, go, doom, boom. I'll take you there. Right.
Yeah.
Great bass line, simplicity at its best, but groove at its best. And
Mm.
then when he goes to that boom, boo doo 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 boom,
Yep.
boo doo, that's a bass solo.
Yeah.
But how many of us would take a solo that simple,
Mm.
right?
Right. Right. No, this it takes a lot of maturity
A lot. See,
to
we
step
think
out
that
that way.
that's the thing. That's the thing, George. We think it's about playing a whole bunch of stuff that make people go, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
The real genius is playing a line like that.
Yeah.
That 50 years later, people still singing it.
Yeah. For sure.
How many
For
people
sure.
walk out singing your bass solo or mine?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally get it. I totally get it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
always reminded of hearing Family Man Barrett, and really like getting it for the first time,
right,
right? Because
right.
you grow up with Bob Marley's music. Even for me, coming, in Vienna, we knew who Bob Marley was. We knew what that was. Um,
Right.
but then the first time you actually figure it out, and the first time you realize, oh, wait a second, that bass is huge and it's
Yeah.
all over the place and it's everything that's happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's an incredible maturity that comes to stepping out like that. And David
Mm-hmm.
Hood, no doubt, was around people who inspired him to do
Yes.
just that, and
Yes.
for what it's worth, Mavis Staples has a live album out, live at the Hideout, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
with her band. Anybody watching, anybody listening to this, I highly recommend checking that out.
Mm.
It's just a
Yeah.
three-piece playing behind her and two background vocals, and you don't ever want it to stop, and you don't want to hear anything else. Let me
Yes.
just put it this way.
Absolutely.
It's so
And,
deep.
and that's the thing with Mavis. She's probably 80 something now.
Hmm.
When she sings, I remember seeing her, it might have been, no, last year was the COVID year. So the year before that, I went
Mm.
to go see her live here in Nashville.
Right.
And I'm sitting there next to my wife, and I'm like, I'm just smiling. I said, back in this day, pointing at Mavis, I said, the whole criteria for being popular was simple. You just had to be good,
Yeah.
right? She's not up there like shaking her butt, showing too much skin. She's
Right.
just singing.
Right.
And the
Right.
crowd is going crazy because your whole body feels it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't no dance steps. Not that any of that's bad,
No.
but she just
No.
carried it with her voice.
Yeah. Yeah. For
And of
sure.
course, the band was good. The background singers were great.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
being good took center stage.
By the way, have you seen Summer of Soul?
The Summer of Soul?
Yeah. Have you seen the movie, the documentary?
No.
It just came out like 2 days ago or something like that. 3
Yeah.
days ago. Summer of Soul. Questlove made this documentary about a
Wow.
music festival here in Harlem, or I should say in Harlem, because I'm in Brooklyn. Um, and Pop Staples and the Staple Singers were also on the bill for that festival. And there's plenty of interviews with Mavis Staples. There's plenty of live footage. Highly, highly recommended. It's really well done.
Mm.
It's really
Mm.
well done. It's a great movie. Period.
Yeah.
Right. But I just wanted to add that also for the audience, because I think that
Cool.
people should check that out. It's a good movie. There's on a lot of levels. This
Mhm.
time we don't have enough time to get into all of
Right.
that. But anyway, so we got the
Yeah.
Staple Sisters. Okay.
Stable singers. Yeah. A bunch of great music, man. So I got to at least throw in For the Love of Money,
Uh huh.
OJ's,
Okay.
Anthony Jackson on bass.
Yep. Yeah.
And, and I'm just, since people know me for playing bass, I'm going with bass songs, but there's so many songs beyond the bass.
Yeah. Go with whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Like whatever sparks you.
Yeah. Cause there's Donny Hathaway that really kind of led into Stevie Wonder
Uh huh.
growing as a musician. Stevie Wonder wrote, little Stevie Wonder has some nice songs, but really, I think it was Stevie that started really studying and learning from Donny Hathaway that helped him get into this really hip writing,
Mm.
where the chords are a whole musical theory study in chords, but he puts a simple melody on the top that everybody can sing.
Right. Right. Right.
So there's a bunch of Stevie Wonder stuff with great bass lines, but I won't even go there right now. But I will go to Prince.
Uh huh.
Thinking about the bass, I'm going to go with Less Work.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Right, I believe that's Prince on bass. I think
Yep.
um, amazing bass playing on all of his songs, and I won't say it, but I think it's with Doves Cry. When Doves Cry, they don't even have a bass part.
Doesn't have, well, it's,
Yeah,
yeah, I think When Doves Cry doesn't have, I know Kiss doesn't have a bass on it,
yeah,
and that usually gets people,
right,
that's usually a surprise, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
right.
When Doves Cry does not have
Hmm.
bass on it. I mean,
Right,
how hip is that
yes,
you manage to hold down the bottom without it even being there?
right,
I
and you
mean,
don't
it's,
miss it.
you don't
You
miss it,
don't
you know.
miss it. Somebody's got to
Yeah,
tell you that it's not there before you realize it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful writing right there.
Oh yeah,
And
no
playing.
doubt. So we're getting close to it. We got one, two. Well, we got two James Brown, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Uh, Give me one more,
We
one or
already up
two
to
more.
9?
We're up to nine, but go as far as you want to go.
Okay, okay,
Seriously.
okay. I, uh, I've got to throw Stanley Clark in there.
Okay.
All right, and it almost doesn't matter which one. I'm not gonna say School Days because I was way into Stanley before School Days.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say No, no, not it's not Romantic Warrior. It's don't 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 shoot.
Um,
It's the one my brothers and I play a lot.
is it from the first Return to Forever with him?
Probably so.
Um,
Shoot.
No Mystery is the name of the album.
The
That
album.
that I know.
Shoot. But let's just say Stanley Clark with the early Return to Forever,
Right.
because that's how I first found out about him. A lot of people found Stanley during the School Days era,
Yeah.
but I think he had a solo record out before School Days. I think
Yeah, the first one.
the
The
first one
first
had
one,
that
which,
brown cover with him
yeah.
and the scarf around his neck.
Oh yeah, and
That's who
and
I
the
wanted to be.
the big declaration in the liner notes. My name is Stanley. I am a musician. I
That's it.
play bass. Like that whole thing. Are you kidding me? That was
And his upright playing on that stuff.
Vulcan Princess
Vulcan Worlds.
Vulcan
Vulcan
Worlds.
Worlds.
Okay.
That's Vulcan Worlds is the name of the Return to Forever song. Vulcan Worlds.
Okay.
Right. And then Stanley wrote Vulcan Princess.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And he sang on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's a bad dude. This
Oh my goodness.
I know. I've in conversations with other bass players. I'm really hard on Stanley Clark because I have
Yeah.
all of his albums, and at times the aesthetic of it doesn't really rhyme with my aesthetic.
Huh.
But what needs to be said is that buy the albums, check them out, and then go see the man live,
Yeah.
and you're
Oh
blown
yeah.
away. And it's like there's everything. I've never had that with a bass player before.
Sure.
Maybe with Ray Brown, where there was this attention to detail as well. But
Mhm.
with Stanley Clark, you hear him play, and everything from the smallest turn of the mid-range knob on the bass
Mhm.
to the choice of notes, never mind the melodies, rhythms, and all of that, right? Everything is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And you real I mean, that's deep.
Absolutely. I mean, Stanley's. We know his bass playing, but his musicality is way out here. The movie scores that he's done.
You kidding
I
me?
mean,
Yeah.
so many movies that we love, and what Stanley did that.
Yeah.
Marcus Miller the same way,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But Stanley for me was the first one that really made the bass come out with
Mm.
this like attack. Normally, bass was fat and bottom. Even Willie Weeks' solo was boom, 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 boom. But all of a sudden, Stanley came out with like a machine gun, really
Yeah.
fast.
Right.
What is this? Who is
Right.
this?
Right. Right.
And then I know we probably at 10, but I got to throw Jocko in there too.
Okay.
And Jocko's overall sound with Weather Report. I'm going to throw in now Portrait of Tracy. Don't write it down. That's the obvious one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Avona. But what knocked me out first was Birdland
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Weather Report because somebody told me that boom, 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 that was bass, and I was
Yeah.
like, no way,
Yeah.
bass
Yeah.
ain't never sounded like that, and not in my room.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
someone
Same
told
here.
me that these false harmonics or whatever they were calling it, how do you do that?
Yeah.
That's what really caught my ear.
Yeah.
Because the bass line, I can hear bass. I can hear the boom, doom, doom, doo, doom, doo, 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 doom, doom,
Yep.
doom. That's cool stuff, but I can hear it.
Yeah.
That doom, 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 doom. That's Jocko on bass.
Yeah.
Are you
That's
serious?
crazy. Yeah.
Right? How is he doing that? And then,
Yeah.
of course, later his solo record, of course, blew us all away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll just say this: as I say these names and these songs, I'm leaving out millions of others.
Yeah. Of course.
And I
Of
know
course.
that. And there's a lot of people, the same names get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
They deserve it. But there's so many other names, George.
Mm.
That's why on one of my earlier records, I wrote a song called The Bass Tribute.
Mm.
And in the lyrics, we talked about, some of my heroes and stuff. But as the song's fading out, I had all the different bass players who sang on it. I had a lot of my what do you call it? People my age and my music
Peers.
peers, right?
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
them singing.
Mm.
So I had Otil Berber, Steve Bailey.
Of course.
Who else sang a line?
Didn't
I
you
mean,
have Will Lee singing at some point?
Will Lee sang.
Yeah.
T.M. Stevens, Rhonda Smith.
Oh, check that out.
I mean, a lot of us, but we were singing about Bootsy and Jocko and Larry Graham and Marcus. The people that came a musical generation before us. But what I did though, since we could only have so many names in the lyrics, I had all of them just while they were recording their parts, just name a bunch of your heroes, and I just
Right.
had them name people. So when
Right.
the song's fading out, you hear all these names,
Mm.
all these names going down, man. Because there's so many people out there that really never get their due.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
even mention Chuck Rainey, Bob Babbitt, Carol Kay, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
There's so many people that I grew up hearing.
The granddaddy Jameson. I mean, it's without
Of
whom we
course.
wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
this
yeah.
the list goes on and on. No, this is a good list. Listen, this is awesome. I wanted again. The idea is to sort of, as I call it, rapid fire. Just
Mhm.
get them out there. Whatever comes to mind first of all. Just don't think about it too much. Just boom, whatever comes to mind. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I find interesting because it kind of gets to the point of you know where we are playing, where we are improvising without thinking about it. We are talking, right? We are
Yeah.
talking through the instruments. We're talking emotionally through the instruments, through our artwork. This is kind of, in my opinion, this is an attempt to reach that same place,
Hmm.
by bypassing our analytical brain. Call it what you will, right?
Yeah.
But which actually brings me to my next point, and what I wanted to talk to you about, and that's your. There's probably some music going down my street, so don't be alarmed.
That's
But
all
that
right.
happens. It's awesome. Brooklyn is beautiful in summertime. It's the
Yeah.
best thing. Um, and that is, I've heard you speak to this many times now, and I think it would be interesting to get a deeper understanding of it. Um, Remember to be like a child, learn like a child. That
Hmm.
kind of idea
Hmm.
is something that, on the one hand, totally resonates with me 150%, right? I think it's very, very important.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's something that's totally foreign to me because my approach to music, or my introduction to music, was not like that, right? So, for the audience, for myself, give us a it doesn't need to be long. Give us your thoughts on learning like a child.
Yeah. Um, Children's minds are open,
Mm,
and they have no idea. And I believe what I'm saying. They have no idea of the concept, even of how long something is supposed to take to learn.
mm,
When a baby is learning to speak English, I'm not even sure that they know they probably don't even know that they don't know English,
right, right,
right? But think
right,
about, if okay, I'm 56. If I think about having to learn the English language now,
right.
could I be fluent in 2 or 3 years? I don't know.
Hmm.
But
Good
babies do it.
question. Yeah, yeah,
Babies do it, and it's normal. If they
right,
don't do it, we say there's a problem.
right, right.
But if I learn Russian in a few years, I'm a genius, right? If
Hmm.
I'm fluent in Russian in a few years, or whatever, I'm a genius, man. He speaks these language. Kids do it, and if your family speaks more than one language, the kid learns all the language,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So you remember, I've seen you inside this new website we have called the Base Vault,
Oh yeah.
right? So you may have seen this video we have in there with this 9-year-old girl named Ellen.
Right,
Now, Ellen is a perfect example.
right,
Okay, she speaks a couple languages because she's living in the U.S.,
right,
but her parents are from Armenia.
right,
Armenia, not Albania, Armenia. So she speaks that language too.
right.
But boy, she just started playing the bass.
Mm.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Just amazing.
yeah.
Because her dad's amazing on the guitar.
Right,
She grew up around it. If she wanted to fiddle around on an instrument, he never told her no.
right, right,
She just got to do it.
right.
Now she's finally picking up the instrument, and man, she's just excelling,
Mm.
excelling with a smile on her face
Right,
every time.
right.
Right now, the only thing that I hope the family can keep under control is how we treat her because of how good she is.
Mm.
Okay. When a baby's learning English, we don't dote over every because they're so good at it. We just accept it. They
Right,
get some praise and stuff, but it's easy to start doing something now just to get that praise or to be right.
right. Of course.
And so when I see little Ellen, I just say, Ellen, always keep that smile on your face.
Mm.
And
Right,
that's the thing. And if we think about ourselves, we got into music with a smile on our face.
right,
But do
right.
we now continue to play with a smile on our face?
That's an
Most of
important
us,
point.
the answer is no.
Right,
It's because now I have to be right.
right,
And so even like little Ellen, who loved to play just because it felt good, really quickly it can become I'm playing to get something, to get the praise or not, or to be right. I'm in school, now I got to be right and all this kind of stuff.
right,
And the smile goes away.
right.
So when you can do things out of enjoyment first, you're going to learn quickly. You're going to have a smile on your face.
Right.
And then wherever you go after that, if you can bring that with you, I still enjoy it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to make sure I get my money tonight. I'm going to make sure I pass this test in class.
Yeah, for
I'm going to make
sure.
sure I please the audience. You know, go to that place, but don't lose the enjoyment of
Yeah,
why you're there
yeah,
in the
yeah,
first place.
yeah. And the interesting, let me just add to that because I think that's an important, very, very important point you're making there. That smile on face idea, right?
Hmm.
The what I call enthusiasm for music is something that we can very actively influence. It's not something that is just that falls in our laps. Okay, it's something that we can continually influence. And the one thing, every now and then, and I'm sure you've seen that, you've had these experiences where you're dealing with musicians who are either losing that enthusiasm or have lost it, right? And that's when things get really sour and really difficult really fast,
Sure.
right? That's
Right.
that's a tricky, again, like that's a tricky thing to overcome, right?
It is because at first, when we're first learning, like Ellen doesn't have to play the bass.
Right,
When
right.
you're a kid, you don't have to play. But all of a sudden, when it becomes now, I have to do this, whether I want to or not.
Yeah,
Like, you know, if we got a gig Saturday, you know, you got a migraine, you're tired, you're in a bad mood, you still got a gig Saturday.
right, right,
And now I have to do it.
right.
So when it turns into I'm doing this because I have to,
Yeah,
not because I want to or because I love to,
right,
now it's going to take everything that I've learned. It's going to really take who I am. Basically, you have to learn how to navigate through that,
right, right,
how to be able to do something well
right,
when you don't feel like
right, right,
and still
right.
enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. There's a lot of aspects that come to that. Just wanted to add, this enthusiasm for music that I think is, if again we can influence very, very, um what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say like this is really at the tip of our fingers.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't take a lot to influence to influence the enthusiasm for music, right?
Right.
But it's still something that we have to do, that we actively have to look out for, that we have to bring into our lives, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I just wanted to add that to that.
I agree with you totally because music is so influential.
Right,
I think we need to be careful with it
right,
and
right,
really good at it.
right.
Because if somebody likes the lyric, if a child likes your lyric, the melody, they're going to sing it whether they know what they're singing or not,
Yeah, that's correct.
right? Whether
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
singing some lyrics that no one needs to be really be hearing, or they too young to even know what they say. You know, that's why I like some of those
For sure.
songs that we talked about a minute ago.
Right.
Those lyrics, those Earth, Wind, and Fire lyrics, those Sly Stone, James Brown, whether you know what it means or not, it's still giving you and the people that hear it power.
Yeah,
You know, but
yeah.
some of the lyrics that you might be learning to sing and don't know what they really mean, oh, I question.
Right,
You
right.
know, so music is so powerful. I don't know if there's anything that influences people quicker than
Mm,
music.
mm, mm.
Than music, because when you're at the concert, you'll do whatever the person on stage says.
Right, for sure.
You're just in it, and that's
For
why
sure.
you're there to be in it.
For sure. Yeah.
So for me, I want to be first of all really good at it, at music,
Mm,
right? So I can use it in a good way, and then I want to play with empathy that I care for who I'm playing for.
right, right.
So I treat them kindly, and if they're going to listen to everything I say, then I want to make sure they're hearing some good things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's not only going to say, "Hey, look how good Victor plays," but realizing who you are, how
Right,
who I am.
right.
I want you to go out and become what you see in me,
Mm,
right? Because you got to think about it, when people come, the people who don't like you didn't come to your concert,
right.
right? So the people who are there love you and they see something in you, and in many cases we don't even see that in ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So I do know that what they see in me is really what's in them.
Mm,
And in many cases, they can't see it in themselves, so they'll see it in someone else.
Right.
And my main goal is to have them, whatever they see in me, to be able to see it and live it in themselves and leave my concert better.
Right.
The way we used to watch Bruce Lee movies back in the 70s, and we'd all come out the theater thinking we were Bruce Lee. We'd be jumping in the parking lot, kicking and picking up, trying to make noon chuck. You know, he
Yeah.
inspired us, right?
For sure.
Right. But a lot of the times we do things to make people say, wow, oh, you're good. He's good, which is
Mm.
nice.
Yeah.
But I want to inspire you to recognize it in yourself.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
and it takes a while to figure that out and learn that. And then how do you do it?
Well, I mean, does that, and this is a serious question, does that tie in to, rediscovering the child in you, or does that tie into thinking like a child,
Sure.
in your opinion?
Sure. It absolutely does. Because children, for the most part, are pure.
Right.
They are pure. They are doing things out of pure and judgment. They're not doing things because I think I'm good or I think I'm bad.
Mm.
Music moves people of
Right.
all ages,
Right.
right?
Right.
But if a piece of music moves us, we start thinking, what's the key signature? How long would it take to learn this? What's the where
Mm.
kids are just purely there, like a bird
Just in
singing.
it. Right. Right.
Right,
Right.
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 And that's infectious,
Mm.
right? When you see a child, regardless of whether it's music or whatever, doing that, you feel that in yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You start to reminisce and that, oh, when I remember when I was a child or whatever, which is why you can see a child group that's playing and the music might be okay, but you can tell that they're really in it.
Right.
And you might enjoy that child band more than going to see the professional jazz band
Oh,
who
yeah.
acting like they don't feel it. Even though the music might be better with the professionals, but the kids are making you feel something
Right. Right.
that you remember in yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of times at the jazz concert, I'm like, man, I could never play that. You know, that's what we're thinking. But the kids make us remember who we are because it's real.
Right.
And the realness of whatever's out there, whether it's trees, nature, a deer, or your baby who brings home that kindergarten painting where they just stuck their hand in paint and did all this on, right? It's still on the refrigerator.
Right.
We love what they put into it, not so much what came out.
Right.
We're attached to what went into it.
Mm.
And that realness attaches itself or wakes up a spark in the realness of us.
Right.
And kind of makes us remember who we are.
Right.
I want my music to do the same.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So many things you touched on that are, absolutely awesome. There's one thing that I wanted to add to that, and that's a question for you, and I'm curious if you could explain that, because I know it did a lot to me, and this is going back a couple years. Your definition of being an improviser and using your parents as an example for being improvisers.
Sure.
I think there was the situation that was explained was your parents found themselves with a bunch of kids and we needed beds, so they were improvisers and made bunk beds. Right? Let's go to the
Yeah.
lumber store, get the lumber, put this together. Let's improvise and make these bunk beds. Right?
Yeah.
And this might sound strange coming from someone who has studied music, but that definition of improvisation brought it together for me,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It made a lot of sense because it made it real somehow,
Yeah.
It took it out of the realm of music. So
Mhm.
explain that to the audience. If you feel like it, again, I don't want to impose
Sure.
too much on this, but I
Well, I
thought that
mean,
was interesting.
the best improvisers are poor people.
Mm.
The people who have the most are really the people who have the least.
Hmm.
Because there are millionaires, billionaires who have physically everything, but inside lacking. Not everybody,
Is the
but there's a
definition
bunch.
definition of what's poor and what's rich? Like, is
Right.
outside poor, or is inside poor?
Right.
That's important.
So you can look at homeless people on the street, and I'm wondering like, how did they make it through the winter in Chicago?
Mm. mm,
and don't have a home,
mm,
don't know where their next meal's coming, and I still see this dude or this woman every day. How does
mm,
that happen?
mm.
Or you go to India or some place that's supposedly a underprivileged,
Yeah.
but you walk through there and you feel their spirit,
Mm.
and the kids are smiling still,
Right.
and we would say they have nothing.
Right.
And I found that the people who have the outside least have the most inside.
Mm.
My parents grew up with that. You got to think about it again. People of color in the 30s or the 40s.
Right.
Okay, that's when my parents were born, 1930 and 1934, I think.
Yeah.
So they were coming up through a crazy time.
Right.
We never had much money. I just found out a few months ago that the reason as kids we weren't allowed to open the refrigerator as five boys, we had to ask permission to open the refrigerator,
Yeah.
which seems crazy and strict today. But I found out from my older brothers because mom didn't want us to know how poor we were.
Mm.
And she said there would be some times where only thing in the refrigerator was a mason jar full of water. That was it. So I never knew we were poor,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
because we weren't.
You
We
didn't have a concept of it. Period.
no,
Like poor. What is that? What does that
no.
mean? Yeah.
We had each other.
Yeah.
We had love.
Mm.
And all I know, when it was time to eat, there was food there.
Right.
So my mom, she always said, well, God always provided. My mom said she didn't always eat,
Mm.
but her kids did.
Mm.
And my dad was quiet, but he was always working, fighting in wars,
Mm.
fighting for a country that wasn't fighting for him,
Right.
you know. But as he told us, not all people are bad.
Right.
Even though, there was this whole race thing, he let us know that there's good and bad people on all sides.
Right.
The main thing was, who are you? We spend a lot of time worrying about who somebody else is, and we don't even know who we are.
Right. Right.
So our parents made sure that we knew who we were. But the one story you're talking about is, um, it was my mom. My mom was usually the ones that was with us during the day because dad had to work,
Right.
all the time. So mom would be home, and as we got bigger, so for me growing up, I always shared a room with two of my brothers,
Right.
Joseph and Rudy.
Right.
Reggie and Roy had a room. I shared with Joseph and Rudy. So Joseph and I always had a bunk bed, and then Rudy had his own bed.
Right.
I think that's the way it was. Yeah. But now we're getting big, and we're spreading out and stuff. So mom decided, okay, y'all need a triple bunk bed. So so she just shows up one day with all these sticks and 2x4s.
It's,
By the end of the day, we had a triple bunk bed, and we had
improvising.
it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, yeah, improvising. She didn't have a
Improvising.
plan, but she sewed that way too. If I show you pictures of us as kids,
Mm.
as a five-piece band, everything we wore, mom would sew.
Right. Yeah.
And it would be embarrassing sometimes because we'd be at the grocery store or whatever, and mom would see somebody wearing something that she liked,
Mm.
and she'd just go over there and say, "Oh, excuse me a minute," and she'd lift the dude on. Can I see that jacket? And she's just looking around, seeing how it's made. No joke, man.
That's
And she
pretty
would,
awesome. No, that
but
is
she would go home and
excellent.
make it. She
Yeah.
could make it.
Yeah.
No pattern.
Yeah.
No pattern.
Yeah.
And even when she did have a pattern, she would make all five of our outfits different.
Mm.
So they were slightly different. And she got this from looking at Motown and the Jackson Five. Jackson Five were dressed similar, but everybody's was a little different. The collar would be different or whatever, but she would make it all.
Right.
And that was just the mentality,
Right.
and it just stemmed from everything. My granddad needed a house, build a house.
Right.
You don't go to school to learn to build a house if you
Mm.
go to school at all.
Right.
My
Right.
granddaddy said he went to school 2 days. He said he went one day and he forgot his hat. So he went back the second day to get it. Those are 2 days he ever went to school.
That's
But
awesome.
the smartest man you ever would meet.
Mm. Mm. You know that again, like the idea of improvisation being explained that way, right? I happen to have had a great teacher in my life. That was my classical bass teacher. His name was Johannes Ausberg back in Vienna. And one day he asked me as a lesson, he says, George, what part of your body or what do you make music with? right? Seemingly easy question, right? Um, what do you make music with? You know, your first answer immediately is, well, hello, you know, bass player, you know, wrong. So you start thinking a little deeper, you know, and the next one that I came up with was my ears, right? Closer. Um, and he actually went as far as saying, listen, this is your homework for this week. Take some silly putty and put the symbol that you come up with. It has to be something of your body or whatever it is, right? And make something out of that, out of silly putty, right?
This is your music teacher?
This is classical music in Vienna.
Wow.
Okay. Understand that this is really outside of everything. Right? This is where we are usually working on Hindemith, Kusevitsky, Schubert, Bach, whatever, right? For weeks at a time, where you work on one measure to a line um, for half a year. Okay. Whereas your ear training final exam, you transcribe a Mozart sonata, piano sonata without an instrument,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So this is just to give you a picture. So this dude is telling me, okay, take some silly putty and form. There were two questions: form a symbol for awareness and a symbol for the part of your body that you play music with. Right? Took me forever to come to the answer. Um, and what it ended up being, because I'm not gonna bore you or the audience with all of the intricacies of that. But what it ended up being was it was a face, and that represented imagination. So you play with your imagination. Your imagination is what is the root of what comes out. How does this tie in with your definition of improvisation? You don't need a template. You need imagination.
Right.
Right? Your parents exhibited imagination through your mom, you know, through 2x4s, lumber, screws, nails, bunk beds. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's the idea of an outfit. I see where it's coming from. Imagination. Done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's what your story kind of really just brought it all together for me, and that's why I wanted to share it with the audience and wanted you to share it with the audience. um, I
Yes.
thought that's, you know, we do get perhaps lost in academic research in definitions of what music is, and there are certain non-negotiables in my opinion. um, you know, what is music made out of? That's non-negotiable. There are three ingredients and that's it, right? And they have an order. um, but on the other hand, there's also this idea conceptually to understand what is improvisation, and your story just brought it all together. You know, that I thought that was brilliantly put together. That was such a smart thing to do, and I, for one, am extremely grateful for you to share that, because that's, you know,
Sure.
it definitely resonated with me and it's sparked
Mm-hmm.
something. You know,
Here's one thought to add to all of that. To me, true improvisation is really based off of, in a sense, what you don't know, not what you do.
interesting.
In a sense,
Yeah, yeah,
if I already know what's going to come out and I know that this is going to follow that, it's less improvised,
right, right.
right? But when I don't know what I'm about to say, what I'm about to play,
Mm,
now, even though it may be built off of words I've used before or actions I've done before, like in
mm,
the basketball game, Michael Jordan, he's done a jump shot, but when he goes up for a jump shot and someone's in the way, he's now got to improvise.
right, right,
right? So a lot of it's based off of you don't know what's going to happen, but you still do it anyway.
right,
So my
right,
mother didn't know how to make a triple bunk bed. All right. She may or may not have had the outcome in her mind, maybe,
right,
maybe not.
right.
But my guess is that she just started, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, maybe it's knowing the outcome, but not totally knowing the process or
Right.
attached. Even if you know the process, you're not so attached to it. For example, and I'll stop after this. If you're driving and you're trying to get home,
Mm,
it doesn't matter which way you turn,
mm,
you're going to get there.
mm. That's sweet.
Some roads are faster than others.
Right.
Some roads you may have to make a U-turn on, but you're still on that road and it's going to get you there. It doesn't matter what direction you go, you'll
Mm,
get home. Okay. So when improvisation gets harder is when I have to do it this way,
right, right,
right?
right,
And many times this way is the way you've told me. The
right,
teacher has told me. Now I've got to follow that direction.
right.
That's when it gets harder. But when you know that you can go in any direction, it's a
Mm,
piece of cake.
mm.
It's a piece of cake to improvise. Kids don't have any trouble improvising until you tell them what the right way is.
Right,
Let them do
right,
it their way. And that's how we live. We do it our way.
right, right. For sure, for sure. Now this
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me. No doubt about that. Listen, there's one question that I wanted to get in. Because I asked this to the audience at when I started the video, and I asked them like, send me questions, let me know what to talk about, etc., etc. And there was one question that I thought was really interesting. Aside from Zoom, what do you feel? Um, Let me see if I get this right. Yeah, did you feel the pandemic has anything positive for musicians aside from Zoom?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
What would that
Absolutely.
be?
Finding out who you are as a musician. What do you
Mm,
play with? Who do you
mm,
play for?
yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah,
are you
yeah.
when your instrument is not in your hand? See, a lot of us musicians, we were so beat up by the pandemic because we couldn't play. We couldn't go
Right,
out and play for people.
right.
So what was happening is that a lot of us musicians started to define ourselves by what we do,
Mm.
not who we are, right? So in
I
other
mean,
words, I'm a bass player. I make money because I'm a bass player. Most of these people are here listening to me because I'm a bass player.
right,
My kids don't really care about that.
right, right,
My kids want a dad.
right,
So I got a bass right here, right?
right,
But when I put it down,
right.
who am I? And the pandemic has allowed me and many of us, if not all of us, to work on that.
Mm,
Who am I? So if I can improve who I am to the core of who I am, not just who I am with a bass in my hand.
right,
Can I get these notes right, scales and techniques? No. Who am I beyond that?
right,
And then I improve on that and bring that back to my bass
right.
and express a new and better, rejuvenated, more powerful me and
Mm,
express that through music. This way, I make sure I return not back to normal, but better than normal.
yeah,
So, in hopes, when you hear me play again, not only will you hear something different, you will feel something
yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
because I'm better, whether my music's better or not.
Right,
I'm better. So,
right,
for me, the pandemic has helped that. For me personally, it's helped me rekindle who I am as a dad,
mm,
as a husband,
right,
as a friend,
right,
because that's what I've been needing.
yeah,
I've been needing to go to soccer games, go to violin recitals, tuck my kids in at bed, sit at the dinner table, hug my wife in the morning.
right,
That's the things I've been missing. A lot of times I'm on Zoom or FaceTime,
right.
you know, oh, I gotta go, I got a show, you
Yeah,
know.
it
But
ain't the
now,
same. Yeah, yeah,
after 35 years or so, I'm home for a whole year
yeah,
and a half. It's
yeah.
never happened in the last 3 decades.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
No, I think it what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It touches on a lot of points that are important to realize, and part of these videos that I put up on the base chat are, me, of course, sharing my process, my concepts and whatnot, but also to sort of hopefully give the audience something what they have been thinking about. Very often we need our own thoughts talked back to us, just like we're trying to go to a concert, we see something in the artist, hopefully we leave, as you said, with a better understanding of ourselves, right? It's a very, very similar process, at least in my opinion. um where was I going with that thought? Did I lose my train of thought?
Well, you had asked the question with someone out there asked what has the
Well,
pen.
what has the pandemic done exactly, and how, aside from Zoom, like how did we benefit from the pandemic? What you that's this is where I was going. um and I think this quote is attributed to Charlie Hayden. If you try to become a better human being, you may just become a better musician, right?
Yeah,
This last year, and continuing on until we are back to working conditions, sort of, um, made us put a big mirror in front of us. There's no doubt about that, and hopefully, we kind of took a closer look at this, and we're like, okay,
sure.
I can
I hope
improve.
so. Yeah, we need that mirror
Oh yeah,
as
no doubt.
individuals, as neighborhoods, as families, as couples, as a country.
Yeah,
We need to really look at ourselves. It's easy to look at other people.
yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Also, I wanted to add to that that looking at ourselves might very well mean acknowledging the good that we are doing for
It
ourselves.
should. Oh
We're
yeah.
so quick to
Yeah.
acknowledge, oh, I messed up. I played the wrong chord. I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Before you came on today, I let the audience know that, listen, I just played a couple gigs, and I gotta say, I think I gained something. Like, I think I'm better now than before.
I can
Like,
guarantee it.
all
Yeah.
this stuff, the practicing, the ear training, the whatever, the reading of books, the putting it away for a second. Um, call me crazy, but I like what I'm doing now more than before.
Yeah.
All right. If I can't please myself as an artist, then what am I doing this for? First of
Right.
all, right?
Right.
So I just wanted to add that to that whole idea. All right, I think what you're saying is so important to hear, and it's important for the audience to hear.
Sure.
You know,
Definitely.
listen. Lastly, because we've been on for a little over an hour already. Let me see. That's I Of course I made 3 points that I wanted to talk to you about, and we kind of went way past that. But bass vault, I wanted to bring that up for the audience because I think that idea and the execution of it is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Talk to the audience about bass vault, let them know about it. And this is by no means like I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm always surprised by how few of my colleagues I see in those meetings.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that needs change. Okay, but
Mhm.
talk to them about baseball because that's an
Yeah.
important thing.
Sure. The bass vault. VAULT. Like
Yeah, and I
underground.
probably I probably totally mispronounced it. So
No,
that's that's
you've
that's
got it right.
Vienna. That's Vienna coming through.
You've got it totally right. You got it totally right. I just want to make sure people know what we're saying, but it's
Right,
thebassvault.com.
right,
And it is a website focusing on music through the bass, brought about by my good friend Steve Bailey, six
hmm,
string fretless basses, and me.
right,
And it's a place where you can go in and see videos, uh, be in touch with other bass players,
right,
photographs, but in many cases, it's stuff you'll see nowhere else.
right,
Interviews with different people,
right,
lessons done in ways that you've never seen before,
right,
different topics. So in this site, we have a bunch of different things, blasts from the past, older videos, beyond the bass, things that aren't about the bass.
Right.
It might be about nature. I've got a drum solo right there from the late Duffy Jackson at one of my camps. All kinds of fun stuff, videos. Again, just a lot of stuff you'll never see.
Right.
And but there's a whole lessons section. We have lots of things that you can download. On my second record, I did a version of the jazz standard Cherokee.
Yeah.
And through that solo, I use a lot of techniques and all that kind of stuff. Well, I have it for download for the members. You can download my track solo, right, without the other instruments. And I think I put 2 in there. One's just my part. Another one is, I think I've got the band in one ear and my part on the other, so you can hear what I'm playing against the band, but you can isolate it. But you get to download it. Charts. There's all kinds of stuff in there. But to me, one of the coolest parts is that Steve and myself and guests, we have our Zoom room kind of integrated with the vault.
Right.
So we can hit notify members, and you'll get an email, and all of a sudden it says come into the vault, and we're there.
Right.
I just tried it for the first time because it's a new site. The other day I was overdubbing a part for a friend. I said, you know what, let me just notify members, and have them come in and watch me overdub this part.
Right.
So that kind of thing is there. The webinars, the podcast, the things like that, we can do them in the vault. And we have an ear training session coming up. I forget the date, but that's coming up soon. That'll be for members. And Steve and I will look at ear training in probably some ways you hadn't thought about. Because most ear training only deals with the 12 notes.
Right.
We talk about intervals, or chord qualities, chord shapes. But for bass players, they call us rhythm section. And there's very little rhythm ear training.
Yeah.
If I hit a note in a measure, what beat was that on?
Right. Right.
What is swing? How much is it swung?
Yeah.
As soon as we start swinging, we have to make an agreement on how much it's going to swing.
Right. Right.
What makes music funky?
Right.
We might think it's the notes, but it's the rhythm.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it comes down to sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
It does come down to what I call some of the non-negotiables, like what is music, right?
Right.
In that order: rhythm, melody, harmony.
Absolutely. Nobody's dancing to the chord, to the key signature.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't have music without rhythm. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the three elements, and you nailed it. But they call us the rhythm section, but they teach us as if we're the note section.
Right.
They say, if you're going to learn this jazz tune, you got to learn all these chords.
Yeah.
You got to learn this harmonies, arpeggios.
Yeah.
And it's better if you know that stuff. But I can show you how to walk a blues without knowing any of the notes. I can show you how to make people dance by playing all the wrong notes.
Right.
Or not playing any notes at all.
Yeah.
Because nobody says, what key is this song in? Oh, I got to dance because it's in this key. Right. So the notes and all that stuff is important.
Right.
But they call us the rhythm section for a reason.
Right.
But there's not enough rhythm exercises. There's hardly, at least not in our country, not in Western. You go to India, you go to Latin America, stuff like that, you get into rhythm. But if you play just like 1-5-1, 1-5-8, boom, 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 that'll sound like one thing.
Right.
But if I change the rhythm of it, so instead of boom, 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 we go boom, 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 goom, 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 goom. All of a sudden, the whole style changes.
Yeah.
The whole style changes, not because the notes change. Right? If I take off the 8 and just go boom, 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 boom,
different
and
story.
shorten the notes a little, all of a sudden we're getting in the country or bluegrass.
Yeah.
The notes haven't changed.
Yeah.
It's how we affect those notes. And to me, we're not talking about that enough. We're telling you what notes to play. There ain't but 12. Why I got to tell you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
7 of the notes are always right. Even if I guess, there's 7 of the notes that are in that key.
Right. Right.
So I can guess. And even when I'm wrong, I'm only a half step away
Yeah.
in either direction from one of the right ones. The
Yeah.
notes aren't that hard,
Yeah.
at least for bass players, because all we got to do is play one of them.
Right.
Right. But it's how we play that one note that changes everything. And we're not talking about it enough.
Yeah. 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 No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think I don't know if you're aware of this, but before the pandemic, I was doing the Ain't Too Proud show here in New York, right? Music of the Temptations had to do a deep dive into James Jamerson. There was just no two ways about that, right? And I've been a fan all my life, right? Or at least all my musical life of Jamerson, of Motown. Phrasing is everything. And I, I'm putting that out there right now, but that's we're talking about the same things, right? Phrasing is everything, right?
Yes.
Rhythm is everything. Phrasing is everything. Try to learn something like My Girl and realize how difficult it really gets, and how many times you can play it wrong.
Absolutely.
It's a reality, So
Absolutely.
that's it. I just wanted to add that to what you just said, and that people can find that on the bassvault.com.
Right.
That is I think it's a great resource, and I would like to see more of my peers, more of my colleagues in those meetings, and I don't. So let me just put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's for one, the Bass Vault is it's a paid membership site.
Yeah.
I think it's what I can't even remember. It's $100 a year, I think, or $9.99 a month. It's really, really cheap.
It's not expensive. It's totally affordable, and I also appreciated that about that. I really did.
It's unbelievably cheap for what you get. Steve and I are going to be doing things in there all the time.
Yeah.
And not just with ourselves. Fortunately for Steve and me. Sorry, I'm looking for something while I'm talking to you.
No worries.
But we we're connected to the bass community, to the music community.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
It won't just be us in this site. We will be, bringing so many people in to speak with you, doing videos. The cool thing, there's a lot of great music sites out there and bass sites, and I love them all. Scott's Bass Lessons.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people, but the thing about this one that's a little bit different is that you have access to us. Right? Yeah. There was a person the other day asking me, what kind of lessons are there? Which ones are beginning lessons and which ones are in? And I said, I am never going to tell you who's a beginner, who's not. Why would I do that to you?
Right.
Why would I tell little 9-year-old Ellen, oh, you're a beginner?
Right.
So, right, that's immediately going to make you think down here.
Yeah, no, it changes the whole dynamic. It changes everything. Like it does, and I think that for what it's worth, we are living in a very interesting time where that kind of conversation has been brought up, be it in music education or be it in live playing, right? That's also, and I think that in the playing field, it will perhaps take a little longer until that kind of thinking will come into it, right? Because that's also a different animal altogether, or a different circumstance altogether, right? Different set of circumstances altogether.
Hey, let me show you one thing real quick. I just found what I was looking. Let me see if this works.
Go for it.
I think you can see this. Yeah, you see that?
Yeah, for sure.
And like, George, what is that?
It's a pile of rocks.
It's a pile of rocks, exactly. A pile of rocks. So if I do this, George, tell me what this is.
It's a organization of a pile of rocks.
Exactly. So when you look at that, here's what you said. You said, this is phrasing. It's how we group things. It's how we organize things.
Yeah.
So if you look at this now, those individual rocks aren't any more beautiful than the first pile.
Yeah.
What made this one more pleasing is how you organize it. That's
yeah.
what I call phrasing, because phrasing is organization,
Right, right.
right? So
That's
in many
deep.
cases, we think we have to get every note perfect and right, and we study the notes where we should be studying what we're going to do with the notes,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
That's phrasing, right?
right,
It's order. This pile has order. It's still a pile,
right, right,
right? That's where we get language.
right.
Right, we can talk about words and they sound weird. Like my friend Anthony Wellington says, "What's an inch?" That's a weird word. But when we put it together in order, all
Right.
of a sudden it sounds intentional,
Yeah,
right? So here we're grouping rocks, but anything can be phrased,
right,
and that's what phrasing is.
right.
It's how you put it together. And to me, we're not talking about that enough.
Mm.
Sorry, we're talking about how you put. You got to learn these notes. It's almost like Miles Davis said, play any note.
Right.
When Herbie played the wrong chord, Miles made it right by what he played.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, we don't talk about that enough of how you put it together. We're just telling you what to do.
Right, 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 right. No, that makes a lot of sense. That is a great, great. I don't know what they call that, key point or what.
Yeah, PowerPoint or
Yeah,
something.
this is awesome.
But I will say this is one of the things that the pandemic has done for me
Right,
is I learned how to utilize this screen right
right,
here.
right,
So think about it, George. Our stage is usually 15 feet minimum, 30 feet, 50 feet.
right.
Now our stage is a little rectangle,
Yeah, for sure.
right? So I still want to interact with people,
Right.
but I don't want you to just see me in a little rectangle for
Yeah,
an hour or two
yeah.
and then expect you to pay me, to sit in a rectangle.
Right. Of
So
course.
what a few of us did, Steve Bailey being one of them, and a bunch of us presenters and educators. For me, I'm a musician. I talk to people. I work with people one on one. But now I'm here,
Right.
so I learned how companies speak.
Oh wow.
Companies speak through PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That's how they have presentations. So I took a lot of my lessons like that, put it into PowerPoint.
Wow.
So now,
Incredible.
and when I'm talking about phrasing, I showed you a pile of rocks. It had nothing to do with music,
Right.
but it really had everything to do with music.
Mm.
So I can take this model that we call music and help any company out there become more organized,
Check that
know
out.
how to listen better, how
Mm.
to use space better and stuff like that, right? Because
Right.
like if I show you this, that's a bunch of birds.
Right.
You don't know how many, but as soon as I do this, how do you know there's only two? It's because of the space around
Right.
the birds,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if you want to make anything stand out, you add space around it,
Right.
right? So that's a musical thing that us bass players need to know, how to use space. We get taught how to use notes, but not space.
Mm.
But you're playing a jazz tune and you got 100 horn players that all want a solo. It's up to me to make sure you like every one of those solos.
Right.
And in many cases, I'll do it by laying out at the beginning of the first solo, or not the first one, but the third solo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who wants to hear 3 horn players in a row?
Right.
But I'm going
Right.
to make sure you like each one by painting a different picture around each one.
Right. Right.
Right? We're not talking about that. Right?
That's yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
talking about play these right notes, but in many cases, don't play anything
Right.
except space.
Right.
You
Right.
play space, and whatever comes out of that space will stand out, just like those two birds.
For sure. For sure. You know what you're saying kind of reminds me of I had this follow-up video with Rufus Reed, and I did a video on uh the upright bass in pop and R&B, right? It was something that out of necessity and out of interest I got into, right? And I used to take lessons with Rufus Reed, and sure enough, that particular topic somehow tied, at least in my mind, tied in with the lessons that I got from Rufus, right? Because he was talking about, yes, you can walk all you want, but if your two feel ain't happening, your walk sure as hell is not happening,
Right.
right? And with the two feel, you're exactly where you what you just talked about, where all of a sudden the space around the notes becomes really important, right? We and then we're back into the same thing, like phrasing, dynamics, length of notes, etc., etc., etc. Like all of those elements,
Yeah.
you know, you can
Right.
you can use two notes that are in tune, out of tune, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But if all the other attributes are not really there, right? You're not gonna do what. And then this is how it tied in with, the upright bass in pop and R&B. What that particular, what those examples of music did for you. I'm talking about Ray Charles, I'm talking about Big Maybell, like all of that music, right? um um Gee, what was the other guy's name? Screaming Jay Hawkins, I Put a Spell on You, is upright
Wow.
bass, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's there for a reason. So, but
Hmm.
anyway, so I wanted the audience to know about the bass vault. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
that you guys did it.
And
I'm
it's
glad.
only going to get better, George.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sure.
only going to get better with the things that we have coming.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, the main thing that we want from the bass vault, and it's not 100% there yet, but we
right,
don't want people to just go there and watch videos,
right, right.
right? So if you notice, if you go in there and look at my super simple song,
Mm,
three-part lesson,
mm-hmm,
it's designed to be done with your bass in your hand,
right,
and you play along, then you pause, and you go on. But it's still you sitting there watching. So we're going to have some more interactive things where you can click on things and take theory tests
right,
and learn how to read music by clicking on a image of my bass. Click on a fret and it shows where the note is on the staff. All kinds of stuff that's coming, as well as you just being able to interact with the other members.
right.
Lauren, who is our bass vault correspondent, who's going to be offering bass vault news.
Mm,
So to say,
check
hey,
that out.
George Farmer's back on stage. He's back playing the Temptation show, and back in Vienna,
Right.
letting people know about that. Or maybe you've got one of your beautiful instruments back there that you're going to sell. You'll be able to tell the
Never.
people.
You
But we're going to
kidding
make
me?
sure that it's more interactive, and so that's one of the things that's
Yeah,
you can interact with people on different other sites, or you
yeah,
can get lessons on this site. This is where it's going to be brought together,
yeah,
and you'll have direct access to Steve and me.
yeah. Very, very cool. No, no doubt. It's very cool. It speaks to so many. There's so many possibilities how to use that. Um, Even if you just, I know that's not the purpose, but even if you're just there in front of a video and taking notes,
Sure.
operative words, taking notes. Okay,
Hmm. Taking
important.
notes is it.
Yeah,
That's it. Not
very,
just
very.
playing notes,
No, taking
taking
notes.
notes.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Well, look,
listen.
tonight in the base vault, I'm doing the second night of my 5-night book club,
Oh, okay.
where I released a new book in February, The
Yeah.
Spirit of Music. But
Right.
just for fun, since it's been out for a while, we're going through the book 4 chapters a night,
Right.
or 4 chapters a week, I should say.
Wow.
So this is the second night. So we'll start on chapter 5, and we'll
Mm.
go through 8, and it's me talking about it, answering your questions. I've got a list right here. My wife printed out. There was a woman from last week already got 14 questions for this
Incredible.
week.
Incredible.
But it's going to be me telling you things about the story that you couldn't have figured out on your own,
Right.
mainly just because you didn't write it.
Of course.
But also, there's an audio version of the book.
Mm.
And I have people like Chuck Rainey reading parts, India R.E., Keb Mo, Jake Shimabukuru's playing ukulele in the audio book. Bakiti Kumalo plays one of the voices of the characters. It's
Mm.
pretty neat stuff. So in many cases, each week you'll get to meet some of the people who read or inspired the characters from the book.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For that, I mean, incredible. Incredible. What a brilliant idea, and kudos to you for making all of that happen, because, a lot of times people might have ideas but don't follow through on them, right? And when it comes to getting over that first step, it seems insurmountable, right? um and I think that by you doing what you are doing, to a lesser degree perhaps, the base chat, which has now 1,400 awesome members, and I'm so thrilled that they're there. Um, by me doing what I'm doing, perhaps it inspires, perhaps it motivates, and it's an example for people to look outside and branch out. Why not?
Yes.
It's
Guaranteed, man. What we're doing in life is always inspiring someone, good or
yeah,
bad.
yeah, for sure,
Good or bad. And
for sure.
because I know that and I learned that from my parents and brothers, I do my best to make sure that at least my intentions are good so that I can
Right,
inspire people good ways. But people are going to take it however they choose.
right.
But just to know that whatever we do, someone's watching and listening.
Yeah, yeah, for
Let's
sure.
do the
All
best
right.
we can.
Well, listen, on that note, let me let you go. Victor Wooten, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate, everything about you. I think this was great. For the audience, this came about in a series of texts that took, I'm going to say, maybe 10 texts. Okay? That's all it took. This was not planned out for weeks and weeks at a time. We didn't look at the schedule for a very long time. 10 texts is all it took, and Victor agreed to come on today and share his thoughts and share his ideas. So I really appreciate that.
George, if I can just add a little to that,
Go for
it started really because George asked me to do it. That's where it
it.
started.
Yeah, that's true.
What sealed the deal is I like George.
Oh,
I mean, seriously, you know. So if people like you, if you like each other, we'll do any. We'll almost do any. People will do anything for you.
yeah, yeah.
You know. Um, but to me, that's the key, and that's really the key to becoming successful.
Mm,
It has less to do with how well you play than you think.
mm,
It
mm.
has a whole lot more to do with who you are as a person and how well you can get along and listen. It has a whole lot to do with that, probably more than you think.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So, I like George. George is doing good things. He's inspiring. He's helping people. He's playing good music. He's a kind person. Yeah, George asked me to do it. I say,
Sometimes.
yeah. Well, sometimes we're not supposed to be kind.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
it will appear unkind
Yeah,
sometimes if I say no.
yeah. No, as
I'm
you.
still being kind. I'm being honest,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it'll appear unkind. So, we need to know when and how to be what the situation needs us to be.
for sure,
But
for sure.
overall, George and I like each other. George says, "Hey, can you come on?" I look at the schedule. I'm free. Let's do it.
Incredible, incredible. So here we are, an hour and a half later. Victor Wooten, thank you so much again from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that very, very much. I know that the audience appreciates it very much. And I'm gonna sign off and hit the end button. I sign off with the same sentence every time, and that is be kind, be cool, and remember we only have each other. All right. Take it easy. Peace, my friend.